Today, in Odlar Yurdu Radio, we're going to present a special program dedicated to First Azerbaijan Democratic Republic, 1918. We're going to view historical background of Azerbaijan Democratic Republic.
Azerbaijan Democratic Republic was the first parliamentary democracy, a republican form of government in the Muslim world.
Talk about Soviet occupation of Azerbaijan.
The country lasted unfortunately for only 2 years.
And listen to voices of founding fathers.
Bu galibiyetindeki Kızıl İstiqlal zulmü altında inleyen aziz vatanımızda 1918 Mayıs günü yeniden doğacaktır. Buna katiyen şüphe etmeyiniz vatandaşlar.
We promise you very interesting program. Every year, on May 28th, many supporters of democracy, human rights and freedom join to millions of Azerbaijanis across the world to celebrate the first independent democratic Republic of Azerbaijan, the country that existed about 2 years from 1918 to 1920. In May 28th, in 1980, the Democratic Republic of Azerbaijan declared its independence from Russia. It was the first secular Muslim country built on principles of Western-style democracy. It gave equal rights to all citizens, minorities, men and women, and allowed Azerbaijani women to vote, when women in the United States were still banned from participating in elections. The Democratic Republic of Azerbaijan was ceased to exist in 1920 by Bolshevik Red Army. Azerbaijan remained as part of the Soviet Union until 1991. It declared its independence again after 70 years of Soviet occupation. First, we decided to look at historical background of Azerbaijan Democratic Republic. We asked several questions to Aslan Amani. Aslan has a Bachelor's of Art in Political Science from University of Toronto and Master of Science in Political Theory from London School of Economics. He is currently a PhD candidate at London School of Economics.
Well, let me start by saying a few words on the historical background of the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic. The Turkic tribes have been in charge of the region for at least around 1,000 years. In 17th and 18th centuries, Russian Tsardom became very active in the region, and by 1830, two treaties, one with Ottomans and the other one with Iran, were signed that recognized Russian control of the Caucasus, Azerbaijan. A larger portion of Azeri territories fell under Iranian control and to this day remain under Tehran's jurisdiction. In the turn of the 20th century, Azerbaijan was still part of the Russian Tsardom. It was a particularly strategic place for Russia because it was the biggest oil producer in the world. Russia had managed to attract Western investors and was using that money to finance reforming its territories. Let's remember that Russia at that time was far behind European powers in terms of industrialization and social advancement of the post-Enlightenment period. So they needed the cash flow that European know-how, and Azerbaijani oil was a significant way of ensuring that. Under normal circumstances, Russia would not let Azerbaijan become independent. But 1918 was not just any year. It was a period of turmoil across Russia. Two revolutions had happened in the previous year and the Tsardom had collapsed.
The Russian Revolution changed the world forever. Almost overnight, an entire society was destroyed and replaced with one of the most radical social experiments ever seen.
Just like any other empire, when the Russian Empire collapsed, along with destruction, death and sorrow, it also brought some opportunities. The opportunities for three countries located in South Caucasus, Azerbaijan, Georgia and Armenia, were the greatest. First time in many centuries, they were able to declare their independence. But letting an oil-rich Azerbaijan out of hand was not an easy option for Bolsheviks. They tried to control Azerbaijan by any means, and they tried to occupy the capital of Azerbaijan, Baku, in 1918.
Baku, the capital of modern-day Azerbaijan, and the world's biggest oil producer at that time, fell under the control of local Bolsheviks. Bolsheviks were intellectually and militarily supported by Armenian and Russian residents of the city, who combined their forces to outnumber and outpower the largest ethnic constituent of the city, ethnic Azeris. The aim was to defend some form of a Russian control against any possible Ottoman incursion. Bolsheviks knew that this incursion would come sooner or later, and they were right. Bolsheviks were the revolutionary power, and they had no de jure mandate to govern Baku. The legislative power over the region belonged to the Trans-Caucasus Parliament, founded in 1917 in Tiflis.
February 1918, three countries, Azerbaijan, Georgia and Armenia, formed the Transcaucasian Parliament as the legislative power in the region. The parliament included equal representation from three countries. However, under the changing geopolitical situation and raising ethnic tensions, the future of the new governance system did not look sustainable. Only several months after the establishment, Transcaucasian Parliament fell apart by each nation declaring their independence.
But on May 20, 1918, Georgians declared their independence and the Trans-Caucasus Parliament fell. This was followed by the Declaration of Independence from Azerbaijan on May 28. At that time, Baku, the capital of modern-day Azerbaijan, was under the control of Bolsheviks. So the founders declared Ganja, a city close to the Georgian-Azeri border, as the capital. In mid-June the same year, the Azeri parliament moved to Ganja. They had formed an army with the help of Ottomans, and the aim was to liberate Baku from Bolshevik rule. This would happen in September 1918. When the Republic was declared in Tiflis, Azerbaijanian National Council was founded, and a young scholar named Mamadamin Rasulzadeh was elected its chair. Then a Western-style cabinet of ministers was formed, and Fatali Khan Khoyski became the newly formed country's first prime minister.
Mamadamin Rasulzadeh perhaps was the brightest and the most prominent political figure at those times. Born and raised in a family of the religious servants, he embraced education and the progressive thinking from the early ages. By 1918, he had become the ideological leader of the revolutionary nationalistic movement in Azerbaijan.
Well, the Azerbaijanian Democratic Republic was the first parliamentary democracy, a republican form of government in the Muslim world. It was governed by a parliament and a cabinet of ministers, and it was the first country in the Muslim world, and also one of the first countries in the world to extend universal suffrage to women of 18 years age and older. And it pioneered a lot of radical changes in the region. It advocated a very reformist program. It wanted the educational condition of its population improved. Universities and schools were built everywhere, all across the country. It was motivated by an image of parliamentary democracy, also supported by very strong civic engagement of both men and women. And it was also a very inclusive republic. By the standards of that time, it was a revolutionary idea to extend the quotas to representatives of minorities in the parliament. And Armenians and Georgians and Russians living in the country, and Jews, all enjoyed very substandard political freedoms and rights of representation. Their participation in parliament was guaranteed by the constitution of the time. And we should remember that all of this happened in 1918, after hundreds of years of Tsar rule.